going on, Candelas? It is Dan Thomas with 8Z Real Estate. And after a couple weeks off for a summer break, we have our latest edition of Spotlight on Candelas, where I try to put the spotlight on our neighbors that own their own businesses. Today I'm with Donn Berdahl of Jersey Mike's. Welcome, Donn.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, so we talked yesterday, and I think I kind of joked around that I try to find a story, a hidden story, with all these interviews, and I was like, man, how am I going to do this with sandwiches? But as everybody will find out, it's a cool story. But before we kind of get started on the sandwich aspect, why don't you let everybody know a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, I've definitely been an entrepreneur for a while, which obviously leads to Jersey Mike's. But before I moved to Colorado, I was a winemaker for about 20 years. Owned a winery with a partner, and we did organic wine. So we bought organic grapes, grew organic grapes, made the wine organically. Couldn't give it away in the late 90s. It was very difficult to sell. Organic specifically revolves around sulfite-free wines with 10 parts per million or less sulfites and things that preservatives that you're not allowed to use and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely a theme that I have going on throughout my life. Not that I'm against anything that's not organic. I certainly don't buy everything organic, but I definitely, living in and amongst the vineyards and all that kind of stuff, I just saw what was going on, and I thought it was a better way, or a cool way, to go ahead and make wine, grow grapes. And I was very fortunate. We started out as two guys, very small. I beat the country, went around, set up distributorships, hammered away for many, many years, and was fortunate to grow our brands into actually the largest selling organic brands in the United States. So we sold about 300,000 cases a year, had a brand that I created for Trader Joe's that is available nationwide, and some that are at Apple Jacks and things of that nature. And then, my partner wanted to retire, and he was much older than me, and we ended up retiring in 2012 from that particular business. So.
Okay, and then so you sell the business, maybe you're thinking early retirement. How did it transition into Jersey Mike's and sandwiches?
Sure. Well, actually, I did semi-retire. I got involved in an organic restaurant, and I was helping a gentleman set that up. He had one already going in Hawaii, which I met him on vacation. And so I got involved in the restaurant business, which, obviously my friends make fun of, because it's a high risk endeavor in a lot of ways, especially on one-off restaurants. But I did that in Los Angeles. I'm from California. I like to say I'm from California nowadays. And, I love Colorado. I've been a Broncos fan for 40 years and season ticket holder for 12. So flew here many times to go to games. I just love the area, which is part of the reason I'm here. Not the Broncos, but just knowing the area. And yeah, got involved. I did a lot of vetting of different business models that and companies and niches and so on and so forth, having come from a organic niche. And when I was doing all this stuff, I settled on making sandwiches and getting involved in this business. A lot of consumption of sandwiches, just to be honest with you,
right.
Hamburgers and then sandwiches by Americans. So it seemed to me like just a good business to get into, something that I might enjoy. And I literally went around and vetted all different types of sandwich concepts. Went to Champaign, Illinois, met with Jimmy John's, went to Tampa, met with Firehouse Subs, obviously Jersey Mike's. And I just fell in love with Jersey Mike's, to be honest with you. I loved the sandwiches before, although I had only heard of Jersey Mike's about 4 or 5 years ago. And I knew of obviously everyone knows Subway. There's 10,000 locations of that. So Jersey Mike's just was the one that spoke to me. to be honest with you. Once I started vetting them as much as they vet you as a person that's going to come on board with them. And it's just it's an amazing company. You know, it just really is a great company to be a part of. So
yeah, so you know, and this is where you know, again, you know, there are favorite sandwiches, and
of course,
you know, I shared with you, we had our son, you know, last year, and my wife's request, you know, before going into labor was her first meal, you know, post labor was going to be a Jersey Mike's sub. So, so yeah, they have a, you know, a unique and special place for us. But, you know, kind of, you know, if you could expand on that vetting and specifically, you know, what was different about Jersey Mike's. You know, I think people hear franchise and, you know, they think, you know, hey, if you got the financing and you fill out the paperwork, they'll give it to everybody, kind of thing. But, you know, it was different, right? It was equal vetting of, they were vetting you and you were also vetting them.
absolutely. When I went to visit these spots, one of the things that I did was take a look at the culture, so to speak, of each company. And Jersey Mike's, you know, I certainly don't want to disparage other companies. That they everywhere has a place, and everyone has favorites and all that kind of stuff. And on a side note, I had a similar experience to you. I again told you I'd never heard of Jersey Mike's, and a buddy of mine who I played golf with a bunch was like, Donnie, you got to try Jersey Mike's. It's just amazing. And I was like, it's just a sandwich. What the heck does that mean? And so I kept foo-fooing it, and he ended up bringing one to the golf course one day, and I tasted, you know, I had it, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. You know, it was just, I know we're in Colorado, but it's kind of, if people are familiar with In-N-Out out of California, which is now started expanding, yeah. I think we have one in Colorado Springs coming. You know, Jersey Mike's is essentially the In-N-Out burger. We're not the least, the most expensive, we're not the least expensive sandwich. You know, we are up there as far as QSRs go and that kind of thing. But, you know, we're slicing the meats, our quality is just off the hook. And it's just a sort of a signature for Jersey Mike's. And that's what you see when you experience the culture with these guys. Our owner, Peter Cancro, has owned the spot since he was 17 years old. He literally worked in the original Mike's when he was 14, sliced, which is technically illegal. You have to be 18 to be a slicer, but of course it was the early 70s. Bought the place, borrowed the money from his football coach, who was the town banker in New Jersey, in a little town along the coast there, on the Jersey Shore, and borrowed $108,000 in 1973 at the age of 17 to purchase the place. And he's just, you know, that kind of spirit, it goes throughout the company. It's hard to explain. You know, it's a philanthropic company. Peter, our owner, we have a day of giving. I think I explained to you, and a month of giving in March. Those are things that permeate throughout the company. So, for example, as a store owner, as someone who works with this company, throughout the month of March, we donate money to a national charity. On the day of giving, we, as the store owner, whatever's spent in our store. So if we sell a couple $1,000s worth of sandwiches, or, you know, if we're fortunate enough to have a good day, or whatever the number is, we donate all that money to a local charity. So, for example, in the Colorado and Wyoming market, we have 41 stores total. We have 6 franchisees, and we last year raised about $108,000 in one day. So we just wrote a check to Sungate Kids, which is a local shelter for emotionally and physically abused children. They provide all kinds of things, you know, unfortunately lawyers, but necessary, and shelter and psychologists and all those kind of things. And it's a private run group, 401B group. And it's just an amazing place to go. You see the love and warmth and all that kind of stuff like that. And this is what Jersey Mike's does. And when I was vetting these different concepts and different ideas and different companies and different cultures, that is what Jersey Mike's is all about. There's, of course, it's a company and we're a business, and we love people to come eat our sandwiches. but it's more than that. And, you know, we have all kinds of mottos and company credos that are just sent to us on a weekly basis about giving back to the community, about being a part of the community, about, you know, making someone's day by making them a sandwich. And I have friends that tease me about making sandwiches, you know, like, you're 52 years old and you decide to go make sandwiches. And I mean, I'm in the store, I'm going today. I have my Jersey Mike shirt on. Right. And, you know, I mean, it's a great experience. It's a great company, and I love doing it. So, you know.
Yeah. And what I loved, you know, hearing yesterday is, you know, something that, you know, I try to pride myself on, and I think, you know, our brokerage is definitely big on is kind of having a foot in the achievement and fulfillment buckets. You know, that, you know, as business owners, obviously there needs to be sales and achievement, and you have aspirations of growing your franchises, and you know, that's, you know, obviously achievement based, but, you know, that culture, you know, that giving back to the community, that fulfillment piece is equally important. So, you know, obviously it's, you know, starts from the top, but, you know, how have you guys as store owners and as a store, you know, kind of brought that culture to our community?
Absolutely. Well, I will say, you know, internally, even before I get to the community, I looked at this as an opportunity to not only create a business, but bring people from within the community to give them an opportunity, without sounding, you know, grossly altruistic. For example, one of my guys, Brandon, I brought on as a manager. I offered him a chance to earn some equity in our store, and hopefully, if I'm able to open, you know, I'm working on store number 2, which actually will be opening in Arvada, not out here in Candelas yet, although I do have right in this area, or whatever words you want to say. So we'll be over at 53rd and Wadsworth. You know, Brandon came on, young guy, 27 years old, very ambitious, had worked in fast food industry as a manager at a local pizza chain, and had a really bad experience with owners, you know, really bad, some theft and stuff, just fraud. And, you know, I'd looked at this opportunity as a way to get involved with people's lives. Granted, please understand, I know we're making sandwiches, but everybody eats, and, you know, whatever we do in life, we can add a spark to somebody's day. You know, we're not performing brain surgery and saving someone's life, but, you know, we interact with people every day. And I think that there's some value in that. There's some value in bringing the community into that. The folks that work with me, my coworkers, a lot of high school kids, obviously. But I also have a 36-year-old father of, you know, a single father of a little girl who has aspirations to run a store, that I brought on, and my nephew who moved out from Texas, who I'd like to, you know, further down the road. That I wanted to make that clear about, you know, the people that we brought in as well from the community. But above and beyond that, one of the things that we do, and I did, and my wife and I, is partnered with Wheat Ridge High School, which is on the border of right where we are at our first store here. And we'll be doing something similar probably with Arvada West, over at our second store. You know, we get involved in the community, and that's a theme of Jersey Mike's. It's a theme of my wife and I as well. We do fundraisers. We donate food to different charities. When we can, we've delivered bread and leftover stuff to some of the spots in Wheat Ridge and Arvada that, you know, can use stuff that obviously isn't rotten and all that kind of, you know, that kind of thing. And it's not like we can do it every day, but we actually have a process that we go through with all that. So I think I was talking to you about businesses. I've already said it. You've already said it. We're in business to be in business, But having said all that, you can do so much more than that. You can give back to the community in little ways, and be involved in the community. And frankly, it's actually a better feeling for me than just paying bills and making sure that, you know, I make $1,000 a month or something like that off this thing. You know, it's just, it's what you should do. It's, you know, pretty much most business owners are giving people, I found. And so I don't want to make it just about Jersey Mike's. It's just, it's what you do. It's what a lot of folks do, you know, just to get back into the community and give back to the community.
Right. And I think that, you know, it's safe to say that, you know, you're trying to impact lives, you know, through running a business, you know.
Yes,
You know.
exactly. And I look at it, you know, someone could foo-foo it and say, oh, well, you're just making sandwiches. You're just giving a kid a job. And that is true. But within the Jersey Mike's culture, for example, again, back to Peter, every year he buys 2 stores nationwide for a manager that has gone through a process that he feel, you know, whereas they have a committee and they say, okay, this person has dedicated themselves to bettering themselves, been a part of Jersey Mike's and the culture. And he literally just buys a franchise for him. He pays for the store to build it out and all that kind of stuff. So it starts at the top and it permeates down to us, but obviously we have to execute on it and we have to be a part of that culture. And my part is helping young people and not so young people, whoever it is. By the way, my mom works in the store. She's 81 years old. So we get a kick out of that one. You know, helping them find a place for themselves in life, whatever that may be. We all have different aspirations. As I say, I've got 3 people that are going through the Jersey Mike's. Well, I have 2 managers already, and one's getting ready to move to the new store, my nephew. And we have a 9-week training program where I pay to send our managers to New Jersey for a week. And they have 8 weeks here through the area director where they're learning the craft of running a store, which again, you pay a fair amount of money to open one. So you're handing the keys to a young person to help you grow the business and be a part of it and feel like it's their store. And, you know, if this is what they want to do, then there's an opportunity for them here at Jersey Mike's and specifically at my Jersey Mike's.
Perfect. So one more question, you kind of hit on it a little bit because I know you have to get to the store. So I appreciate all your time. But I always like wrapping these up, asking the question of like, what's the one thing that people would be surprised to hear with your business? I always give the example in my line of work with real estate, everybody thinks it's sales. And so, the ability to talk, and people be surprised that, the ability to listen is more important than the ability to talk. So, with Jersey Mike's and your franchise, what would be that one thing that people are kind of, surprised to hear about?
Sure. I think people are surprised at how family oriented it is and how not corporate it is. People that are watching or whatever the case may be, we all have our one-off favorite restaurants and our local spots. I go to Lot 1, love Josh, the owner, his son, and I want to support those types of folks for sure. I own one store and I have aspirations to own a couple more for sure. Here, and like I said, I'm opening a second store in Nevada. But I think people would be surprised at how not corporate Jersey Mike's is. There's a concept that Peter came up with, obviously to franchise, just like any franchise, and take this great thing and this really good food and offer it, nationwide. We do not, for example, we have 2,000 stores nationwide. We're the 3rd largest chain. However, our largest franchisee owns 32 stores. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it's a family, and all the husband, wife, 2 sons, a sister-in-law, and a daughter-in-law all run the company. They're the director of operations, all that kind of stuff, similar to what I hope to have happening with my nephew. And I have another nephew moving out here in November for the second store from California who wants to get involved in the process. So it's very much a family thing. You know, again, I know someone who owns literally over 400 Wendy's, 800 Domino's, that I've met through this process of franchising, and someone who I knew in Los Angeles owned quite a few. So Jersey Mike's does not encourage that, doesn't allow that. It is really a family-run business. I have my 19-year-old son who's determining, he thinks he wants to be a policeman, but of course now I told him he's got to get a job. So he decided to come work for us. My older son does not, but my 19-year-old son works there. My wife is in the store all the time. I have a nephew that obviously moved out from Texas and is my manager at this store and is moving to the new one. My mom, who I moved out here, who said, hey, I want to come, you know, I wanted to take care of her. She's 81 years old and it's just that time of life, but she's very active, drives, the whole kit and caboodle. So she's in the store 4 or 5 days a week for 3 hours, you know, working lunch at the register. She's English, so she's got her funny little accent and chats with all the customers and all that. And I'm in there, you know, 5 or 6 days a week at various hours and that kind of thing. But it really is a family run business. And it's not just a faceless corporate behemoth. You know, you're not just pulling up to a drive-through with a headset and they give you the wrong food and you drive away and you know, you're like, well, who the heck do I talk to? At most Jersey Mike's, as I said, there's only 6 franchisees here in the Colorado, Wyoming market. We have 2 stores in Casper. A gentleman owns those, a husband and wife team. We have one husband and wife team that own 8 stores down in Colorado Springs. And then our area director who works for Jersey Mike's and also owns 10 stores. I own 1. There's a gentleman who has 3. There's another gentleman that has 2. You know, that kind of thing. So it really is a family run business. And I mean that from the core. The people that come in my store know most of us by name, that, you know, are regulars, and we know them and we know their sandwiches, and we talk and I make fun of them. I try and turn it into a New Jersey experience for them where, you know, I'm slinging, busting a little, you know, what's now and then and all that kind of stuff. But it's fun. It's like I said, I like my job. I like going there, and I love having my family involved and how intimate Jersey Mike's makes it for all of us. It's been a blessing. I feel very fortunate that I chose these guys and they chose me to be a part of it. So.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that's an important distinction, because I think a lot of people want to support local, and obviously, you know, Jack's and Lot One, you know, are probably the 2 closest to us.
Sure.
But I think hearing that, you know, the approach by yourself and also Jersey Mike's as a whole is not an absentee franchise, you know.
Absolutely. Well, to just a quick side note, for example, Jersey Mike's, I'm lying. We have 1 corporate store that is owned by Peter, and it's, you know, the original or second location. The original location is now where we train. He bought the little tiny store there, and we have big tables in there, and we do all this kind of stuff in New Jersey on this little side street in a, you know, seaside town. But there's no corporate stores. So again, I'm next to a Denver-based chain. Good old, they make Mexican food, by the way. And it's a corporate store. And the 2 stores that are opposite me are both corporate stores. And so God bless them, they do what they do, but that's a whole different deal. They're hiring people, they're just crunching numbers, and it's a different concept. Jersey Mike's, no such thing. They don't allow corporate stores. So it's people that want to get involved in Jersey Mike's culture. We are fiercely proud of our product, slicing it, creating a sandwich for you, 99% meat and 1% preservatives, whereas our competitors are using 75% meat and 25%. I mean, there's a reason our sandwiches are $1.50 more. It's because we're a deli. We're literally making your sandwich. We're not dumping meat out of a pot or any, scooping it in and all that kind of stuff. Everything you're getting is fresh. every morning we're in there 3 hours before the store opens, cutting vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, I can't stress enough how look at, I'm not trying to, you know, foobar anybody and say, oh, Jersey Mike's isn't a chain. It's a franchise. I get all that, but there are differences within that. And ours is very much a family oriented, and that's encouraged from the top all the way to us, which is why I chose it. I didn't want to be part of a franchise where they're just selling as many franchises as they can and then let the franchisees fight it out. Again, we're not allowed to open franchises within 3 miles of each other because we're trying to protect each other. We're trying to have be part of the local community, not just, oh, we're going to, here's one and then a mile down the street's another, and whichever franchisee, gets lucky or picks the right spot or runs it better or figures out how to run it better. That's not it. We don't do that. We literally look out for each other. We borrow stuff from each other's store when we have a huge day or something and we're short on inventory. We all talk. We all have quarterly meetings. All the franchisees get together. It's just a great company, and it's very much a local, family-run entity, and that's part of why I chose it.
Well, perfect. Yeah, and I think that was. That was the story I wanted everybody to hear, that it's more than, slinging sandwiches,
Yeah, very much so.
So when does the Arvada store open?
It'll be November, probably the first week in November, last week of October. So it's been, everything's lined up. I've picked a contracting group that's built some local ones here, and Jersey Mike's is going through a retrofit. So we're going to have new branding. So it'll be a whole new concept, new store. And actually every Jersey Mike's will be shutting down first part of 2021 for a day or two. Well, 3 days. Well, they go back and, redo the inside of the store. There'll be all kinds of, new paneling, new floor, and the whole concept's changing because you always need to freshen up your brand and modernize and stay up with the times and meet what makes me feel good when I go into a restaurant and all that kind of stuff. So, but permitting's a little slow. The city of Arvada, people aren't there. And so what normally takes 3 or 5 days is taking 10 or 14 business days, permitting wise. So we've already got permits and all that. I've ordered the signs and everything's moving along. So it's right there at 53rd and Wadsworth. There's a Chipotle on one end and an Anthony's Pizza on the other, Floyd's, and it's right in front of Lowe's and Home Depot right there. So very excited to be there. It's a great area, great part of Arvada, a nice neighborhood. Obviously, again, not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. Huge trade area, a lot of traffic. So hopefully I'll get to see some of our Arvada neighbors in there, my nephew and I, because I'll be transitioning a lot of my time over there to start and get it up and running.
Perfect. Well, I'll make sure we have both addresses in the description. And then do you guys have your date in March yet for your day of giving? So us Candelas residents can come support you guys? Yeah,
it should be March 6th next year. Yep. March 6th is the date that's on the docket. Of course, I know it sounds like, we're all hoping March 6th is going to be normal next year, but I don't know. Maybe we'll still be half dining in, half dining out, no dining out, no dining in. I don't know what's happening. So, but hopefully it'll be a normal time. So we'll see.
Perfect. Well, like I said, I'll make sure we're promoting that, on our end. So,
I appreciate it.
Part of this whole thing was to, all the business owners in Candelas, support each other and kind of, come at it organically and that sort of thing. So if we can do our part, I want to make sure we do that.
Totally understood. Totally understood. There was, through you, Rosanna and I, my wife and I, found Alpha Graphics, and now we use them exclusively to print stuff, and we got 12 signs coming from them right now. And, we've just learned so much from you. So it's been cool, like seeing as new residents about how all this works, and, just meeting people and, being a part of what's going on.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, like I said, I think you guys are doing a great thing, and you're definitely impacting lives, in a way that, probably most people wouldn't consider, but, you're definitely going about it the right way. And that's cool to, thanks for sharing your story.
Totally cool. I appreciate you having me. It's fun to talk about Jersey Mike's. So
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's always exciting when you're passionate about it. So,
for sure.
Uh,
All right, man.
well, perfect. Well, that wraps up another show. If you are a business owner and would like to be spotlighted, reach out to me, dan@8z.com. If you want to follow all the Spotlight on Candelas, you can follow us facebook.com/Candelas Neighborhood. And we will be back for another one next week. So till then, thank you and have a great weekend.